I played football. The attitude was this: never give up until the whistle blows. I've seen some miracles happen. And let me tell you, when you see yourself down and out and you don't give up and a reward happens at the tail end of that moment, it's the most precious thing ever.
Welcome back to Founders Club. I'm your host, Dez DeCosta. Today's guest is Joe Felix. He's a serial entrepreneur, founder of JMF3 Group and Diamond Credit Restoration. Recorded back in 2024, I am thrilled to finally share this conversation. Joe has built a reputation for turning obstacles into opportunities, using every challenge to build the skills that drive his success. Get ready for an inspiring conversation that's all about mindset and the drive to keep pushing forward. Welcome back to another episode of Founders Club. Today I'm speaking with Joe Felix, a very good friend of mine who I know as BZ. He's the owner of multiple businesses and the founder of Diamond Credit Restoration. BZ, welcome. It's a pleasure to be speaking with you today.
Hi, Des. Pleasure is mine. Thank you for having me. Been looking forward to talking to you. I'm so happy we able to catch up. Thank you.
Yeah, me too, BZ. Well, right on. We're going to dive into all of the different business ventures that you are involved in. I really called out Diamond Credit Restoration because I know it's something you and I have been talking about a lot more recently as, this business has really started to boom for you. But yeah, let's just get into your whole story. So tell me your villain story as an entrepreneur. How did you really get started as a business owner and entrepreneur?
Um, the journey started a very long time ago. Um, I want to say around 2016. It was an idea for me to just start establishing, like, it's just stepping stones as far as what to do, um, what angles I wanted. And so I first started off partnering up with a good buddy of mine, that he pretty much uh, helped me with some hardships as far as, like, had some properties that I needed to get rid of, and I was in some downtime of, like, hardship to for me to sacrifice some things in my life. So he was just a great guy to help me out as far as moving forward, as far as, like, getting myself back together, financially, step by step, right? So it started in 2016, and I think what it was I was in the office. My partner and I, we joined together as online marketing. I still do some online marketing here and there, but not as prestige and experience as yourself, Des. I know you're one of the best that I know, in my circle of
Thanks.
people, that does online marketing. But so I do. Steve Sanders, a really good buddy of mine. He taught me the ropes of online marketing, like, from social media to SEO. So he helped me sell my condo. And then I think what it was, and when I was sitting in the office, I was like, I had to think of something, how to put this money, to, like, utilize to build myself, right? So, and but building myself in a more, like, in a more in-depth, self-righteous, formality. So not just having funds and just making investments like I did prior. I think what it was, I was searching on YouTube, or I was searching in my office when I had some downtime, and I was just researching, like, you know where to put the money at, how it will grow, and so on and so on. So I found out, okay, if I created like, just like a stepping stone of, like, a C corp or an LLC, um, under my name, and just start from that. I learned to do that. So I learned where it came about, where, like, you could grow your LLCs, or whatever it might be, sole proprietors, LLC, C corp. At the time, I picked C corp because the amount of money that I was going to get from the sale of the condo, it was better, from what I found out, it was better tax write-offs to having, like, a larger, business license, because it's just better. It was better tax brackets for starting off. And I vaguely remember that I chose that route for having such a large dollar amount to put it into my business banking account because I didn't want I didn't want to pay capital gains tax, nor I was just afraid I was going to pay capital gains tax, but knowing it was under a trust, the assets were under a trust. Of course, they're not going to reach in and, tax you if it's under a trust. But I was very skeptical. I'm the type of person where like I learned my lessons in life, and by those outcomes, I get skeptical about things. I got to rethink about it, opportunities that come my way, and I got to rethink, and then within my gut feeling, I got to make that decision on either moving forward or saying no, I'll pass. Right. So I moved forward for myself. I moved forward on finding out the information. I said, good, perfect. So when the property was sold, I used that money to like plug it into the C corp and created a business banking account with Chase, and it was sitting in the Chase, and it was sitting safely, very very safely. It was sitting in a business bank account. So now I wasn't going to get audited just having it in a regular savings or in a regular checking account because you get audited that way. So and then there, a lot of taxes. You got to pay taxes down the road when it's sitting in your bank account because they're going to be pulling fees and going to be pulling all types of stuff. You never know. And I was always skeptical. So I did it as an insurance factor. I created the C corp, and I pretty much I transferred the funds into the business bank account, and that's where the journey started. So I found myself opportunities down the road, 2017, 2016, and I was building my credit. So I was using the proceeds on building my credit after that, my personal credit. Okay. So that's where basically how it started. So I kept just doing homework from YouTube University 101, So throughout the times I found out how you could build up your business credit by doing such and such and such, and then so on and so on. So out of the proceeds, I was just investing a little bit of my money here and there, growing it like, planting a seed into a pot of soil and just babying in it. And that's where JMF Enterprises. I babied the thing out of it like a nice little flower or plant or apple tree or however you want to imagine it.
Yeah.
That's how it started, basically like that.
Right on. Wow, BZ. Yeah, thank you for going into that backstory. So it was really the sale of your condo that was able to ignite the opportunities and give you leverage to the multiple businesses that you're involved in today and utilize that capital in order for you to pivot into so many different directions. You mentioned your personal story with improving your credit, and now you're able to help others with the same situation, helping them improve their credit and also build their business LLCs, and create business lines of credit as well. You also mentioned going through some hardship. And, would you like to touch on that a little bit and how that shaped you as an entrepreneur to be more tactile and the mindset that you needed to be able to shift into to be the successful person you are today?
Oh yeah, the hardships. Those are fun. Those are fun. Yeah. Not fun. No. That we're not all perfect in life, right? As human beings, we're gonna make mistakes, and so it's the willpower and the mindset of you realizing those mistakes when you age and when you mature. And so some people do, they grasp it, and then some people they just don't have like the I don't know, the willpower or the encouragement to do so. And it's kind of sad to see that in today's world. They have a lot of like the abilities, they have a lot of great they have a lot of great well-being on doing so, but the encouragements, I don't know. I had the willpower never to give up. I think it was, I learned that from sports as a young age, from high school to junior college to university. I played football for all those years of my life. And the attitude was this, like, never give up until the whistle blows, or never give up towards, the last minute of the game. Because I've seen some miracles happen in those games. I was involved in those miracles that happen in those games. And let me tell you, when when you're like in a moment of your life and you see like when you see yourself down and out, and you don't give up of that time moment, and a reward happens at the tail end of that moment. It's the most precious thing ever to experience. I'll tell you that right now. And so the hardships that I came across after my career in sports was over, and after school and things of that nature, it was rough. It was rough. I found myself at odd jobs. I found myself like, um, you know, over just overwhelmed on like hopelessness of what to do next, what type of jobs I wanted, and so on and so on, And then so in 2008, when uh when the recession hit, and people lost their homes and things of that nature, I just happened to like got myself into like a nice cozy management job in restaurants. So I found the opportunity to go into the food and beverage industry. And this is back in like 2007, entering the recession 2008. So I was just like a assistant general manager of my first restaurant jobs. Of all places, it was Hooters. It was Hooters of all places. So that was like my start of my journey of becoming like a management, and a business establishment. And so and as far as restaurants as well. And then so when the recession hit, about a year later after I got hired, they were letting go. They were downsizing management teams in the corporation. So I was the green pea of that. And so since you're new and you're not like the the older managements, they kept their jobs. So I got let go, and it's where like the hardship started. So for myself, like again, just odd restaurant jobs. I was just a regular manager. It was like I was just, babysitting employees, babysitting money. And it wasn't that, I found out it wasn't like really for me. I thought it was a good opportunity to like, let me put it this way. It was a good opportunity of me learning the restaurant business as far as 101, like profit and loss, what items are not sold, what food cost is, and just the basic necessities of running a restaurant business. I learned that, and I was grateful. But then like there wasn't more of me of growth of those odd restaurant jobs that I had. So uh, I tried one more route on getting a restaurant job, but I found myself like a little mom and pop place, and somewhere in Irvine, California, like a mom and pop restaurant place. And that made my decision. I was like, man, so I got let go there. And then that's when I got back on some hardships right there. I had to go back on unemployment. I didn't have much unemployment. I had the condo I was living at, it was paid for, but the home associations, they're not really great to work with. And I think it's just really bad for them to like not being like humble and workable for like their clients. So I fell behind on some back payments on the HOA fees, and that's just everything just started a domino effect on me, one after another. And so I had to sacrifice on renting out the condo, and just to create income. And then I found myself like just a backbreaking job at in Long Beach, California, at like Terminal Island, just pumping out squid off boats, just backbreaking, shoveling ice into big bins, pumping off squid off boats. And then at the time I was like sleeping in a suburban that I borrowed from a friend of mine. I was sleeping in a suburban just to save money from the condo, and from the fishing docks. So I created income out of thin air, when I was pretty much unemployed, not receiving any benefits for say like, man, I think like I was going on 4 or 5 months of not receiving any benefits. I was just like just trying to make ends meet. I forgot how, but I did it. And so I created two incomes. I rented out my condo and I found just a backbreaking like minimum wage job at a fishing dock in Long Beach and then sleeping in my suburban. Now I got two incomes coming in and I created like from $0 monthly for 4 or 5 months. I created like $1,100 right out of the blue, or maybe even a little more. I think it was like $1,400 right
Wow.
out of like right out of thin air like that. So that was back in 2012.
Yeah.
And so prior to that 2008, my dad had passed away in 2007 and left me like surprisingly large amount of assets. And so I went off running on making very, very bad, stupid decisions on bad investments. And so that large amount of money went quick. Um, I drowned myself with sorrows with by, making wrong decisions on celebrating too much. Just I was in a dark place, very saddened. I lost, both my parents. And I had, not really great with my sister. So, those are the hardships that I'm talking about, right? So spiritually, physically, I went through them, but I know this that I always had that little glimpse of those rewards that what I mentioned a moment ago here, like to never give up. Because if you ever experience those moments where you're down and out, and somehow, some way, because you were still resilient, and a reward happens at that time barrier, you're gonna carry that in your heart and your mind for to the end of your to your end of your livings here. So that's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was.
Wow, what an incredible story. And thank you for going into detail. I think there's a lot of people that are going through hardships, definitely relate to you. So that's an incredible teaching moment for people who might be going through the same experiences. But I would also love to know what motivated you during those hard times to keep going. I know you mentioned just to, keep a positive mindset and keep going and that encouragement, but what was it exactly that motivated you?
I think I was just always around the right people. Those hardships were involved in those right people that I'm trying to explain, but they were like always like uplifting, supportive, like, you know what, BZ, you could do this, like just try this, or like, they were giving me like they were just guiding me on some options. So I think by answering that question, it's the right people that that you put yourself around that gives you those encouragements of words and stuff that helps the mindset to actually like look forward to the next day, right? So
Yeah.
if I wasn't around that type of people, which I've been around people that are very dark, and so I was in the dark, or I was in dark places myself, but I think the experience in the nightlife industry, I come from the nightlife industry like 20 some odd years, right? And food and beverage nightlife industry. So I've always had people surrounded around me from those industries. Not necessarily like just regular people off the street, or just that's where I think that I was always around just the right people in the nightlife, food and beverage industries. And don't get me wrong, they have some troubled passes too. They're not perfect, but out of the bunches of apples up from that tree in that sector, there's always great apples, and out of an apple tree, there's always going to be bad apples. So I found myself between the bad and the good, and here I am. Now I'm pretty much living okay for right now. I'm living very okay for right now, and the opportunities that just landed on my lap. We could talk that in another segment, but I'm looking to be a owner and partner on two companies here within the next month. So that's pretty much
No,
sums
that's
that part
huge.
up.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
I know you gave me a little bit of a sneak peek of that, not to give away too much before it's finalized, but that's fantastic, BZ. Let's talk more about diamond credit restoration and how you help people today and how you especially leverage your own personal experience and learnings to help other people in that area.
Yeah, sure. So this one is unique. This project was put together this year. I want to say like back in March. And so well, it wasn't put together back in March, but the discussions that started back in March and was basically brainstormed and started. We broke ground. I want to say it was April, March. The end of it, actually entering March is when we broke ground. Brainstorming happened all throughout April of 2024. Um, the introduction, the meeting of this happening started in February. No, I take that back. Started in March. Sorry about the timeline here. The introduction started in March of 2024. Brainstorm happened in April of 2024, and then breaking ground started in the beginning of May. That's when we broke ground. And so this particular project was put together on my end because the experiences that I showed my partner of how I build my credit first, and then I utilize the credit for the to link it into the business side of things under my C corp. And so when I show those proofs and credentials to my partner, he was like, "Holy smoke, you did that?" And I was like, "Yeah." So he's like, that's where the brainstorming started, where like we he does loan modifications for homeowners that are in foreclosures. So we decided to put this concept together as far as I coming in and so I come in and help out the homeowners that are in need of saving their homes, but they don't have the right like credit to get a new loan modifications because they already went through say like two or maybe three loan modifications and they're pretty much stuck. They're pretty much stuck. And so that's why they're like say like they're like 6 months in default behind on payments. Foreclosure notices are coming in, they're about to get evicted. And so my partner Marty he has a service where um attorneys are involved where they fight the home loans of that companies. So you got a service that provides attorneys to fight those federal attorneys, the loan federal attorneys, and so homeowners can like save their homes for the meantime until their loan modifications are actually accepted and remodified. And so what they do is they take whatever they owe on the front end of their back payments, like say they're behind on 6 months of their mortgage payments. Well, a loan is already remodified, and they take those payments and put it on the back end of a new loan, and that's when they save their houses, right? So it was a great service that I was like, damn, that's really great. But my partner had told me that some of those clients they're so bad, um, credit wise that they don't get qualified for that type of service, and they end up losing their homes and they get evicted, and it's pretty disappointing to hear that from today. To get kicked out, your stuff is locked in. You got nothing. Nothing. So we brainstormed like if I could come in and help these homeowners with their credit, and then same time they have hope and glimpse of sharing what needs to be done. And so yeah, we designed this to help out the homeowners, saving their homes and saving their credit so they could get the loan modification that they need to save their homes and also just clean up their presence of their credit so they could actually like start off with like some credit lines, like whatever it may be, 2,000, 3,000 credit lines, to help with like, with bills, catching up on bills, if they're behind on the light bill, if they're behind like on the internet bill. A lot of these homeowners, they have families and kids, so they got to catch up on like, providing for their family as far as clothes and things of that nature. So this was uniquely strategized for helping out families that are in need, that are in homes, and that's where we're at.
Love that, BZ. Yeah, that's so important. I mean, these are actual people's lives and homes and livelihoods at stake that have children, that need to be caught up. Otherwise, what next? So you're definitely providing an amazing service along with your partner there, which both of your businesses pretty much go hand in hand to help people. If somebody gets started with diamond credit restoration, or if they're at risk of losing their home, what is the usual timeline that it takes working with your company in order for them to turn their situation around? What does that look like?
So that we're just finding out that type of that type of forecast. But I know that for someone that's really like in trouble of their credit and someone that like really behind on their mortgage payments, the thing about this is that it's this doesn't happen overnight, right? And so to dissect the problem, we have angles where we have to attack first, into the credit, where like it has to be really meaningful for like these loan modifications to be accepted, just so these loan modifications are filed. Once they're filed, then the homeowner is has a lot of breathing time and a lot of like hope, to not like get evicted right there and then. Okay. So when these loan modifications are filed, that means that that's the starting clock point of the attorneys fighting against the bank attorneys, the lender attorneys, and the person is like safely in their homes until we get answers and resolutions for the outcome at the end, right? But the credit side of things, it's it's the timeline is always going to be 6 months to 12 months, depending on how bad shape of the credit profile is. So it takes about 6 to 12 months to dissect how bad they are, and to remove these negative items, because there's a negative item every process of each negative item. There's a unique process that needs to be done. It doesn't happen like, you can't just take off everything all at once. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. So in order to dissect, charge-offs or late payments or like bankruptcy, divorces, each one of those items has a specific, unique way to attack it. And in order to do so, to attack it that way, it's time consuming. And that's why it takes a little bit of more time, on the credit side of things, just to like get it right, straight across the board, dialed in order for these loan modifications to actually like be accepted. But once these loan modifications are filed and applied, then the timeline there is like, 1 to 2 months. Once the applications of the loan modifications are filed, then they have some safe haven of oxygen while living in their homes in the time being. But if it worst comes to shove, like at least when you're like in a safe haven between like say 6 to 12 months, and we'll be able to tell you like things are looking good or things are looking bad. But for the most part, we're not looking to have negative resolutions whatsoever. I'm good enough, and my partner's good enough where we could get some resolution done in order to get to keep the families in their homes. Let's put it that way. Now they might not pay. They're not mind looking forward to the type of payments that they're looking forward at the end of the results of their new mortgages. but at least we help them save themselves in their homes, and then they could utilize that time to like have an exit strategy to get out of the home, sell it, and have a clean credit to get into an apartment or to get into like a new downsized more home, and then they have a better chance to going that route. If that makes sense, I hope it does.
It does. Yeah, no. I mean, I think I asked a little bit of a difficult question because it definitely depends on the individual's situation in order to really tell what the timeline looks like to get certain results. But I think you were able to answer the question of like what is the process? And as far as what you told me, the initial filing is the one that allows people to stay in their homes, and then that gives you more time to at least, file other necessary paperwork and fight certain charges that would allow them to, move forward from there. So,
Correct.
got you. All right. What is the best strategy that you guys have found that's bringing in new clientele right now?
Um, So we're just keeping it in-house, to be honest. And when in-house on my partner side of things. So he has a database from, old just from old accounts that he has. And so we're just reaching out just warm emails. They're not necessarily cold emails because, they've been worked on and worked with relationships before. So we call it warm emails, and we're just following up with them. And then everything's in-house on my partner side of things.
Okay, I see. So you guys are pretty much leveraging your partner's leads to begin with, and that's been the main source of clients at this point. All right,
Correct.
great. What's another marketing strategy other than the one that we mentioned that's working well to generate new business or at least spread the word of Diamond Credit Restoration?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So far it's been referrals, because I get asked a lot, hey, what do you do? I have that presence of like, um, of something or someone. So I
Yeah,
get asked a lot. I get asked. I really get. I think it's just referrals, just communication, conversations, network. I do a lot of networking, so I know as you know me, Des, I'm always out and about, because I'm just a networker. I'm always out and about in functions, events. I consult with like small businesses, eateries and stuff like that. So I'm always around eateries, those small mom and pop restaurants. And so my presence alone, I get asked a lot from just my presence. And what do you do? And this and that. So um, those questions is pretty much my leads.
I see.
And
So just
yeah,
heavy on the networking and, referrals as well.
yeah,
Okay, great.
yeah.
Um, cool. I think we dove into the business a lot. I want to kind of circle back more into learning more about who you are again as an entrepreneur. So, I guess let's start with what's some advice that you would give your younger self?
Oh, the advice for my younger self. My goodness. Yeah, just less less alcohol consumption and more research and homework. Let's put it that way. I guess just my old habits obviously took a lot of time away from me. Growing and maturing. Obviously, I wish I would have. My goal was this. My goal, I remember thinking about this. That when I turned 32, I wanted to have my own home, and then I wanted to be successful in some kind of a work environment, have my own home, and maybe have a family, start a family, and this and that. But um, you know, I had a lot of bad habits at that age, and the thought process was there, but like the encouragement was not. So because bad habits lead to into temptations, and so I had a lot of temptations that I touched and pretty much bit myself, or that bit me moving forward and growing and maturing. And so if I could just tell my younger self, it'd be like, yo, easy on the bad habits. Um, you know, things does get better if you just put your time and put your resources in the right direction, instead of like, looking forward to a Friday night or looking forward to a Saturday night or looking forward just a weekend, because that was my mind process. I was always looking forward to the weekend. Now, I was always working the weekends, and in the food and beverage industry, nightlife industry, I slaved away a lot of my life away in the weekends. So I think that's the where the bad habits were always around. And so um I always knew uh, that I wasn't meant for like the 9 to 5 jobs. I was always meant to like, the freedom of a little bit of like of the nightlife industry always gave me a little bit more freedom, but then it took away a lot of my time, my family, personal time away. And so I utilize I utilized my time and said, hey, you know what? If I can make this dollar amount in the daytime, I could surely make this dollar amount at nighttime, which it did. It really did. And so the 9 to 5 wasn't for me. I tried it over and over again. It wasn't for me. I found myself like after lunch, like just dozing off hard, going back to work at the office, and I was like, this ain't for me. Then I tried off what's it called? I tried like delivery services job. Like I remember one time I had an oxygen company job. I was delivering oxygen company to patients, and that was like, starting from like 7 in the morning all the way to like 5 at night and stuff. With that, I enjoyed that a little bit because I was on the road. I had a little bit of freedom, but it was like it hit a standstill. I was like, I was in it for 2 years, and so I got bored with it. So I was like, you know what? I could totally make this dollar amount that I do in the daytime at night, in which it did, and I picked that route. But then when I chose that route, a lot of bad habits and temptations were involved in that route in the nightlife industry, and so I wasted my time and resources on growing on that behalf. But here's the good thing: because of that, I I looked at it as a network opportunity tool, and that was always something good about me. That I was always integrating with people. I was always, respectful. I was always witty. I was always like, charmful in some ways, and I was always gain that respect. Always gain that respect. Now, I abuse my intelligence on myself, and I abuse myself on just overwhelming myself with alcoholism and drugs and things of that nature. So that's where the bad apples come from. I explained a moment ago, the tree. I was always around good people and I was always around bad people. And I was seesawing myself back and forth, back and forth. So my younger self would be like, look, man, just stick with the right people, because you're gonna get there quicker, 10 years quicker, basically 10 years quicker. It took me 10 years to be where I'm at now, to be honest. And
Yeah.
so luckily, it's been 10 years. I feel myself like I wasn't ready in my late 20s. I wasn't really ready in my early 30s. But my thought process after 36 years old, I'm turning 49 here this Saturday on August 31st. So it was right after 36 years of age is when my mentality was like, okay, it's game time now. It's game time. And so that's where I put myself into always hanging around the right people. I was eliminating the bad apples out of the barrel, and there was a very few limited ones. And now, like hitting, after the shutdowns, the pandemic of 2020, that's where my mindset just like was at grind mode. And here we are 4 years later. I established two businesses now, right after the pandemic in 2024.
Amazing. Yeah, I love that you took us through a journey there. I think that it takes a lot of discipline to remove yourself from certain environments and situations and even people that aren't edifying you or aren't, it's like you spoke about this before where, even earlier on in your life, you knew what you wanted and you had these goals in mind, but maybe at the time, the mindset and the decisions that were being made weren't actually aligning with the end goal until over time you realize, like, that light bulb came up and you said, hey, like it's time to actually make the decisions that would lead me almost like a line path toward those,
Correct.
right? Versus,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit more of a scatter plot that may be working against those goals sometimes. So that takes a lot of discipline. And I'm so happy to hear your story and definitely encouraged by it. And I definitely hear it in your voice that you're in a place where you're proud of the things that you've accomplished and all the businesses that you've created. So we've really talked about Diamond Credit Restoration. I want to give you the opportunity now to plug the other companies that you are involved with and also how somebody can get in touch with you and learn more about these companies as well.
Okay. Well, the second one, this just happened. Me becoming a partner and president. This happened just what day is today? Wednesday. Yeah, this happened on Monday night, just past Monday night. On so it was a phone call that took place, and this company is unique. So earlier in the year, the same time frame of the credit restoration, it happened on the right around the same time frame. Believe it or not. Um, I ran into an old friend of mine uh, back in February of 2024, and this is a guy again that I met in the food and beverage industry, but it was at a concert venue. Um, it was at a concert venue here in Orange County, and he was a bartender, and I was brought on to help out the festivals, and there was festivals that took place in the parking lot inside the concert venue, and it bled into the parking lot. So it was a great time. I cherished those times, you know, and so uh, during that time, I think I was hired to just sell beer at the time, and it was great. It was fantastic. It was great money. I was networking, I'm meeting all types of people, you name it. So I was able to, get to know all the in-house employees of the bartenders, securities, and I met this individual, my partner. I met him there, right? So let's fast forward. This happened to be like 20, let's just say 2015, where I started working at this concert venue. 2014, 2015, something like that. And then met him. We go out, we do our shenanigans. But he was a really respectful guy as far as like, he wasn't like a jerk off, or he wasn't like just egoistic, narcissist. He was just really cool, humble. Um, his energies matched my energy, and we just took it off. We just took off from there. We lost we lost touch with each other. I say like entering 2016, we lost touch with each other. And then 2017 didn't hear about him. 2018 didn't hear about him. Basically, didn't hear about him all the way till like 6 years later. I last heard about him like in 2017. Oh no, I take that back. I did last hear about him in 2017, and then that's when I didn't hear about him was like 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. 6 years. So 6 years I haven't heard about this guy. And then all of a sudden I get this like, hey, Tony's coming down. And I was like at some lounge, I forgot where it was. I went to go see a concert in Long Beach. And then after the concert in Long Beach, and we went to a lounge um outside of Long Beach back into Orange County. And then one of my friends that happened to be the general manager of that concert venue I'm still friends with, and we still go and enjoy each other and go to little small venues and concerts and as friends. And he likes to put like little moments like that. Hey, let's go out see this DJ, or let's go out to see like this concert. He likes doing that. He keeps the bond together a lot. So this is February, and he's like, "Hey, Tony's coming down." I was like, "Tony who?" I thought it was another friend of Tony, and excuse me, Tony Tappan out in Fullerton. I was like, "Oh, Tony, Tony Tappan." He's like, "No, Tony Draft." I was like, "Tony Draft." I was like, "What?" He's like, Tony Draft." I was like, "No, he's not. He's not coming down." Because like Tony, I think I remember him as kind of like a flake, trying to join me at some areas in the past. And I said, "No, he's not coming down." So sure enough, about moments later, I get this tap over my right shoulder. I'm sitting at the lounge chair, and I look up, standing over my right shoulder. It's Tony Draft. I was like, "Oh my God, get the heck out of here. No, you got to be kidding me, right?" So I stand up, give him the biggest hug. I was like, "What is going on with you?" And he was just like with smiles, with this big old charmful smile. He's tall as me. So, I mean, him and I stand at a bar. We're like the Twin Towers. Like we get a lot of attention together. And so he just broke it down. He broke it down what he got himself going. He's got this, he's a coach, he's a high school football coach. He also does like side training and develops kids out of high school, like special skill sets. If it's a quarterback or a receiver, running backs, he has like a team coaches in place that he utilizes the skill sets to these youths out of sports in high school. And he told me the whole game plan. He told me the whole game plan that he's involved in a sports camp management company that develops these high school kids coming out of high school and during high school, so they could find themselves a better opportunity to get like a scholarship into any universities, right? So D1, D2, Division 3, NAIA, any of these schools, universities, they have the skill set and ability to get a scholarship in some way or the other. And I was like, that's pretty dope. That's pretty cool. Like that's unique. And then I was like, he told me the story, and he said we're looking for investors. We got two kids that need investments bad, because what they're a part of is I guess the NCAA have now passed laws and accepted what's called these NIL deals for kids that are like, um they're name brands out of social media or something like that. So NIL deals are they're a particular program for like name brand athletes, 5-star athletes that are like, that are top notch, and they don't get a lot of they have a lot of exposures on social media. So like it brings a lot of like marketing flavor to the university, and it's like big costs. It's like it's big profits, right? So not only like the university is already like the major prestige universities. It's like USC's, Alabama's, the Floridas, Miami's, like those big, big, big universities. They're already prestige. But when you bring a 5-star high school athlete that has like so many followers on their social media, now what you're doing is you're adding sprinkles on the cake to these universities, and it doubles their profits. It's kind of a bit of a racket. It's a bad. I think some people think it's bad, but hey, it gives hope to the kids to like work hard, you know, be well like educated when you get there, because I went through some hardships too on myself. Very, very disappointing hardships when I went to those portals from high school to junior college and to universities. It was very difficult. It was very disappointing. And the hopes and dreams can get really shattered quickly at that young age. So when he explained to me that we have a camp that develops every stepping stone of their journey and the mindset, that they're going to be prepared on the disappointments and look forward to the next process for a better outcome. And that's what they teach. So I came in as a partner, or silent investor, with a coworker of mine from work, and we had a meeting. We hit it off, and we invested a small, good amount of money. The journey of all these surprises has been like very fruition, and I'm just so grateful. I'm very blessed for these moments, and I just can't explain it. It's just surreal, and that's where I'm at.
Thanks so much, BZ, for your time. You've definitely allowed us to learn more about, your story, not only that, but some of the struggles and hardships that led to where you are today and allowed you to grow as an entrepreneur and a business owner. For that, I thank you so much for your time, and it was a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much, Des. This was exciting. I was looking forward to this, and you're very welcome. And if you ever want to ask me on, I'm more than willing to. Thank you again.